Hello, everyone. This is Holly. I'm going to share the link in the chat on 7H and hope that a few folks will join us today. We have these Hangouts weekly. I've had to change the schedule recently, so might be some confusion, but hoping to stay with this time weekly on Fridays now. And it's a time for English conversation practice. I understand Ivan's going to join us today with a topic, something about a waitress. So I'm hoping he'll join us and tell us more. And Vasanth always has interesting things to talk about, and he hopefully will join us today as well. And others are welcome too. You do need to be a registered member of 7H, free, to participate in the Hangouts. And I welcome you to join us whenever you are able. I hope to be able to schedule some additional classes soon. For now, I have 2 classes a week that I schedule, one here on Hangouts for conversation practice. I suggest topics and then welcome you to bring your own topics. So today's suggested opening topics were idioms, and especially idioms relating to animals or insects, and also to share about observing animals or insects. Vasanth had a post this week about watching ants, and maybe he'll talk about that. So can you think of idioms that you know that have something to do with an animal or an insect? One that many people have heard of is to be as blind as a bat. Bats don't do much, don't see in the daytime. They see better at night, active at night. To be blind as a bat. Another you might have heard is to be as poor as a church mouse. As poor as a church mouse. Have you heard either of these? How about to be as busy as a bee? And here comes Vasanth. If you're as busy as a bee, you are very busy. Hello, Vasanth.
Hello.
If you imagine early spring or summer day when the sun is shining and flowers are blooming, and you were watching the ants, many people watch the bees that buzz everywhere. And so if you're as busy as a bee, you are flying here, there, everywhere as humans, not flying, but walking rapidly, but to be very active, accomplishing many things, to be as busy as a bee. And I'm curious to learn more about what you observed with the ants. It is interesting how it can change your perspective.
Yeah, actually, I mentioned that with our new member, his post, I commented that we are watching the ants and somebody else are watching it from the upper level of the
Right?
universe. So
Yeah. So we look like ants, right? Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And what do they think? Do we look as busy as ants? Do we move in some of the same ways, act in some of the same ways?
Yeah, maybe like we are playing with the ants. Like we just scratch a line between the queue and everybody uh, moves around, and it happens with the natural disaster. Yeah,
Yes, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Huh, that's an interesting thought. Hmm. Yeah, when there is a natural disaster, the congregation of activity, yeah, much like ants will move so fast to save their ant hill or build a new one or relocate to safer ground. Interesting. Yeah. The way ants follow such straight paths sometimes has always fascinated me. And the only human comparison I have to that, not so much lining up at restaurants, but I remember, and still at refugee camps, for example, but remembering after the wars when the food lines, the lining up for bread or water, and after disasters or in refugee situations that we have too many of, sort of like ants, perhaps from above. And ants don't seem to have the challenge as much of the battle of the races of dividing people, and yet there are different types of ants, red ants and fire ants and carpenter ants, and I don't think they work together. I think they keep separate domains. Interesting. uh, hmm.
And I read a post about uh, the religion or something beyond the universe, the darkness. Uh, they used ants as an example to represent the different dimension of views. Like now we are having three-dimensional view, and what if we can see the upper level of the dimensions for the fourth dimension and fifth dimension? They
Wow.
they made an example with the ants. Like okay, they were walking like all the ants are moving with a two-dimensional view, like they are moving before, forward and backward. And what if one ant has a chance to step over another ant, and he looks from the top view, so he has access to the upper view. So he would say, he would brag about his view to the rest of the ants, and nobody would believe him because they haven't seen what he had seen. So this is what happens with the religious term or whatever the scientist says, or it applies to both scientific and religious views. The people who understood the theory, they always trying to impose us, but the rest of us don't seem to care about it because we haven't experienced it.
Wow. Huh. Now, this kind of talk always takes me back to freshman year in college, where we would stay up all night talking about things like this. Yeah, figuring out the puzzle of life and what it all means. Wow. Huh. Yeah, I've just signed up for I've done this a few times in the past and curious to see how I'll feel this time, but starting Sunday for 8 weeks, a diverse group of people are meeting. Several groups are meeting in different people's homes to talk about the racial riots we had here last summer and all of the changes in Charlottesville, to talk about all the things that are hard to talk about, race and politics and religion and history and systemic challenges, and we all agree to not kill each other, right? while we're talking. So it should be challenging. We meet for 2.5 hours a week for 8 weeks. And yeah, we will see what happens. Let's see. Hello, Ivan.
Hello.
I wonder how you have new artwork behind you.
I'm in public place. It's kind of stadium. My boy playing football here,
You
so I
look
can
like
show you a big hall with all and pictures
okay.
are everywhere. It's like contest for children.
Okay. And you're going to show off your English, huh?
No one is here. I'm safe.
So we've been talking about ants. Fascinating discussion. And you talked about the big, I'd forgotten, but you get the big ant hills in your forests there, right?
Sometimes they're half of the man.
Wow. That's something I've never seen. I'm not sure I want to see. But I imagine if you can find a place where they're not going to crawl up your pant legs, I imagine it's fascinating to watch them. Yeah. So do people do things like throw a rock into the middle of those mounds to see what will happen? I mean, I would think as kids, I would want to explore, and then I'd be afraid of what would happen to my child.
Many times I swam in this what's nest? How we call it, nest or what?
Ant hill.
Ant hill, yeah. So many times I swim in this ant hill. You just lay down, yeah, they bite you, and it's funny. It's like a massage.
Okay. I don't think that would be my choice of activity, like a massage. That reminds me of the fish that the beauty spas use to nibble off the dead skin off of your feet.
And they have acid, right? When they bite you, they what's the word for it? Spring acid into
the two
yeah.
pincers.
But when they bite, they send you some acid. How we call it? Inject.
They inject, or okay, so
yeah, they inject some acid, and we believe in Russia that this acid, we call it antacid, is very useful for your health. And we even have this special in drugstore. We have this special bottle with this acid.
Wow.
So many people like to be bitten by ants. It's something normal.
I'll be darned.
But our forest ants, they're small. They cannot hurt you.
So they're very tiny. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have bigger ants too? Like we have the carpenter ants that are probably
yes.
Big.
We have many sorts of them. It depends of part of the forest. Is it kind of swamp or kind of a wet place or dry place? But in general, they not dangerous. They cannot hurt you. They all reasonably small.
Okay. Vasant, what about you? What sorts of ants are you familiar with? Do you have these big mounds of ant hills? Uh-oh, we lost him.
Wow.
He'll be back. I don't know where in the world that ant hills get large like that. That sounds so.
But we eat them sometimes when I was young, but we don't eat them. We like, I don't know what. We like let them bite your tongue. Just for this acid.
Yeah. So it's almost like a tickle. They're so tiny. It's like little.
Yeah. They inject this acid. They spread that, and it's kind of funny. When I was a child, we always played that. So you grab the whole hand of these ants, and then you, I don't know, kind of eat them.
Wow. totally new experience for me. That would be, yeah, wow.
I will find a photo when we swim in these anthills.
I thought you were joking, but you were serious.
No, serious, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. I wonder how these discoveries were made, if the first time was a terrifying experience and then
But
observation showed that it
some,
was helpful.
well, they like new smells. They like new smells or new or your food or something. So sometimes when you camping and you place your camp near to anthill, they will visit you for sure, and they will accompany you. So sometimes you wake up and you're full of ants.
Oh,
So
wow.
I mean the discovery not hard to find. I was
Yeah.
like in company many times.
Wow. Wow. I'm not sure that sounds pleasant to me, or I'm sure that does not sound pleasant to me, but wow, something to think about. So Vasanth, we lost you for a few minutes. I was asking if you have large ant hills in India. Do you have this sort of ant?
Yes, but not too much. You can find
Oh, I
them.
can't hear you.
Can't you hear me now?
Uh-oh. We're going to get plagued by fun challenges again. That smile. Love the smiles.
But Elsa, there are some spa salons. They provide you like a service with these ants and with small fishes. You put
Yeah,
your
the fish
yeah,
too.
but it's the same. And we have a lot of small fish in our rivers, and we we do that sometimes. You lay there on shallow water, and they like bite you. It's very funny. Not only toes, whole body.
The whole body. Wow. Not just your toes. I've seen the spa treatment for your
You never
feet and
tried?
hands, yeah, but your whole body. I don't know. I don't like stereotyping, but if you're making making some very different experiences. Fascinating. Yeah. Um, All right, so we're trying again. Vasanth is trying again. Let's see if we have a voice now. No. Oh, Vasanth. Oh, too bad. Okay. All right.
But it's interesting. But you mentioned size of the suns, and I think yes, it's very important. For instance, when I have this treatment by small fishes in river, it's fine. Yeah, I like it. But when fish are larger than I used to, it's not pleasant.
So
So
you
when
have
we
your
when we visited Vietnam last year, we swam in the sea, and pretty big fishes tried to like taste me or something. It was different.
Yes, and also different because you didn't grow up familiar with with all of these fish, so you don't have the certainty of what you're in for. Wow. Do you have, I don't know this, do you have jellyfish in your seas
Mm,
there?
No, it's not sea. It's rivers, lakes. We don't have jellyfish.
But you have saltwater
No,
border.
no. The closest ocean to me it's North Ocean, and it's
Well, yeah,
1,000 kilometers from me.
not so close to you, but I mean, Russia has salt water. So are there jellyfish only in salt
Yeah.
water?
It's called Black Sea. Black Sea. We have Black
Right,
Sea. We
right.
have Azov. I don't know how it's in English, and what else? And something else. So we have, yeah, but of
Uh,
course we have jellyfish. Yes, it's everywhere.
some of them are quite different around the world too, and more of a concern. And so many seem strange to us environmental changes. One of them is this huge increase in jellyfish almost like ants come in multitudes, the jellyfish. Sometimes the beaches are just every foot or so is a jellyfish, and not not the pleasantest of beach time. And so you had
But
a
usually,
story. I didn't fully understand your post, so I'm very curious to know more. And I don't know if Vasant was part of the earlier call. You said you talked about it.
it was teacher Lee, it was Jana, and someone else I forgot. And I asked Jana to grade my behavior by scale of male MCP, and he gave me 9. So I'm out of 10. So it's
Oh,
pretty good, I think.
yeah. um,
So, but the deal was kind of like this. Many people like to take pictures of their food, right, before
right.
eating in cafes and restaurants. I do that sometimes, but not often. But what I do often, I take pictures or selfies or pictures of my waitresses. I do it very often. I almost every time. And I showed one picture. I presented one picture in the chat, just to say I was there and look like how perfect was my waitress, something like that. And we started discussion. And teacher Lee asked me, did I ask it for permission to take this photo? And it's pretty strange concept to me. Because yeah. So just to imagine that I would ask like something, may I take your photo, please? It sounds kind of ridiculous to me, because if someone asked me, I would be very confused. Me? Why me? Why you need my photo? It's very uncomfortable situation. So so I do ask permission, but I do that in a very different way. Usually I try to make some joke about this situation, about something. For instance, to that lady I asked something. I like you very much, but before marry you, I need to take photo and show this photo to my mom. Something like this. Usually I do these silly jokes, and if she smiles, I take it like a permission. If she don't like my game, I don't do this photo. So it's my way to ask permission. And we discussed that, and Jana claimed that I had to be punched in my face.
Oh my. Wow. If you were to say that to her.
Yeah.
So she didn't appreciate the humor in it. That's funny. I wonder how many cultural confusions there would be with that. I hadn't thought about that being a misunderstood or not expected. Um,
So, but I
I
ask no.
yeah, go ahead.
Please.
Asked.
I yeah, I ask.
One, two.
I mean, I usually ask not only this way, but I'm trying to do some, just random joke. And if I see like a return step, if I see something toward me, I think it's a permission. Okay, let's do that. Let's do selfie. And I tried it many times. I do 100 photo, maybe thousands, in many situations, in Spain, in Vietnam, and it always worked. It always worked. So I never in my life I asked, may I take your photo, please? No, never. But looks like teacher Lee and Jana were strongly against my practice.
It would, if when you visit the US and try that, you might get punched in the face, or you might get the police called or asked to leave the premises. I remember when I was with Joanna, I forget which city, but there, it may have been in Versailles with Jean too. There was an adorable little child with her parents. She was learning how to ride a tricycle, and she was so cute. And the whole family was, and I wanted a photo. And of course, with cell phones, I didn't have my cell phone though, so it was camera. But it's easy to sneak photos of people, but they were discouraging me from even asking or trying. But I went up and asked in my pitiful, it was French, and they were fine, and they let me take their photo. But many people would would run from you, flee from you here. And so even in Vietnam, you did not have this challenge of people mistrusting you. So I wonder where that's changed around the world.
In US, obviously.
Well, yes, but also Joanna, and Europe. So fear, the fear grows.
Okay, in Spain there was a situation when a few beautiful ladies asked me to ask me to help them with a group photo. And I said, I cannot do that. They asked why. I said, my religion prohibits me to take a photo of a beautiful woman without me. Something like that. And we made a selfie or something. It was normal,
Now, see, I can appreciate that humor. Of course, I know you a little bit, and your humor is strong. Wow. Wow. That's what you would call brazen. So did they accommodate? Did you get a selfie with a group of beautiful women?
I took like 4 different selfies with each lady.
And I hope you did take their group photo.
Yeah, finally. But my how to say it? My position was my discussion was not so about permission, but not so about culture, but about like a formal and informal way to ask permission, right? Mm-hmm. So for me, formal way sounds very clumsy, very clumsy. If you ask people, may I get your photo, please? What does it mean? It confuses people, right? Why you need my photo? What? Who are you? Why you do that? So the chance of refusing it's very high, and it's understandable. I would do the same. So that's why I invented my trick, and I claim that it's a good trick.
Yeah. Now, see, I usually preface my requests by some comment on why I want to take their photo. I don't usually just come out and say, "May I take your photo?" or just appreciate something, but I usually offer appreciation rather than humor. Humor can get you in trouble, like punched in the face sometimes when it's misinterpreted, and truly could be risky here in the US, although you could probably take care of yourself. But the other thing I wonder about the women in Spain asking you to take their photo, fewer and fewer people make that request here because they're worried about them running away with your cell phone or camera, or because that's happened too many times. And I'm very hesitant about handing my camera to someone else.
I don't know, maybe because it's a touristic place or something, but it's very usual request. I had, I don't know, maybe hundreds photos. Had 100 such requests, so it's also normal.
Yeah. Vasanth, do we have a voice this time? No. Oh no. You've tried unplugging and replugging your mic. I wonder if your headset has decided to go kaput. Done. Is that a Russian word?
No, but it's a history. It's a German word, and the only
I was trying to remember. I just remembered that it was from.
And the only connotation with these words is kaput. It's what they say when they go to you. They go to you.
Kaput.
Yeah, it's mean don't shoot me.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I couldn't remember which. I knew it was. I just realized as I said it that it was a word.
But it's understandable. Yeah. I think everywhere in the world it's understandable.
Mm-hmm. Oh goodness, Vasanth, we want to hear you.
I'm trying.
There! Yay!
Okay. I just clicked the troubleshoot button and it's just in process, fortunately, and it worked.
All right. Yay. Okay. He's back. So Ivan Vasant missed your discussion, right? He was not there when you were talking about the waitress and the
I don't know. What's else? Have you
okay.
read our chat in Medrook when we discussed permission? Yeah, we said permission about taking photo.
So do you ask
No,
people before you take photos? If
me?
you're in a restaurant and you want a photo of the waitress, would you ask her permission first, or would you never photograph a stranger? What's the experience you have?
Yeah. It is not allowed. You cannot click a picture of a waitress because you have to ask permission. But some people do. So it's not about legal or illegal, but it's a basic ethic. So you should ask them for a photograph because
Yeah, but which way you ask?
yeah, the way you would do, like, okay, hello, pretty, I want a photograph of you, or just like that. Yeah, to flatter women, the same.
You think that's
Very-
flattering? Okay. ah, how
I
time?
would say you objectify women, right?
Yes, I'm sure that's yes, comes into conversation. But it's some of it is how old you are, who you're with, but yes, we're thinking about this a lot more and differently than sometimes.
Yeah.
But
But in my opinion, if you are with your family, then they will accept your request without hesitating. But if you are a single person, then they might suspect you. Why would this person need my photograph?
yeah. I love photography, and I love photography books that study people and have images of people. So I would enjoy seeing your collection of photos, Ivan. It's fascinating, the different things that you notice. Sometimes if you save them for months or years and look at them later, you notice different things. I love nature photos the same way. Many times I take a photo of something, but when I get it on the big screen and see it differently, I notice something else. And people in the background. Wow. Huh. That's a few. 100,000 photos. Wow.
But each time when I look on them, right, on them, look
At
on
them.
them, at them. Each time when I look at them, I try to delete some. So this one it's not so good, and so every time I open my program for catalog, I reduce amount of photo. Doesn't help too much, but still.
I've been trying to do that. It's hard for me to delete photos, but I try. Yeah. I get so confused with technology today, though, since I have the iPhone and more Apple usage. Deleting them one place doesn't always delete them everywhere. Or if I delete them from, for example, from this computer, and I had used this computer to add the post to 7H, I won't see it on 7H. You guys still do, but I don't see it anymore. It deletes it from everything on, and it's so confusing to me. So managing my photos has become a challenge, but I always enjoy looking at them. So the ones I really miss are from Korea. I had a blog and I put all my photos on a blog, but it was back in the early days of blogging where you paid. And when I stopped paying for a blog because free blogging platforms were everywhere, I lost my photos. They didn't have a way to. And anyway, I've lost some precious posts and photos from my time in Korea, but otherwise I just keep finding more and more in different places. So the perils of switching platforms or trying new things or wanting to be sure you've saved your photos so they're everywhere.
Yeah, that's why I don't trust these services. Never. So I always use like how would you say it? Like Bear. I don't know. Let me write. Archive. So
Oh, I don't know.
to some services which index and improve and do something else, some work. I prefer that it's just files. I will trade them by myself.
No manipulation. Okay. And so you know how to do that. This is an advantage you have. I used to love when I printed photos and had boxes and boxes of photos. I loved to rearrange them and recategorize. I still do that with the few photos I have. Vasant, please. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I miss those old days where my dad asked me to sit straight or like a smile, just like that for a photograph. Nowadays we have the digital cameras and we can capture many photos within a second, but I miss those old days. I still have those photos. I think I might share it on 7H. It will be fun. Yeah. But picturing a child is really a fun in those old days, because they will not sit straight or they will not stand still for a photograph. So it would be like a Snapchat or something like that.
This reminds me of school photo days. Do your elementary schools have days where it's photograph day and they hire a photographer to come in and take pictures? And my mom, none of us were photogenic until my younger brother came along. But my two older brothers and I, our school photos were bad. And mostly, I think it was the lack of patience of the photographers. After the first 5 or 6 kids, they'd had enough, and it was just go next. Many times teeth missing.
We have a lot of jokes about that, because my generation have at least 10 photos in their lives. I mean, it's 10 classes, 10 grades, 10 years.
Yeah.
But for instance, previous generation usually have 3 or 4, like marriage,
Right. Yeah.
something like
And
this.
now?
And now I have more just for one evening in the restaurant.
Right. Yeah. So true. And I wonder how many people go back and look at those photos or know where to find them, or wonder when they see something. It's harder to hold on to memories because
I return back to my archive, archive, right? Archive very often. I like to have images when I post, when I have discussions and something like this. So I always use my photos, but I keep them very organized, so I can find it like for whatever topic in no time. Yeah. So
so you tag well. See, I don't label, or I don't have the patience for that. I don't. I have not the discipline for that.
I think it's just a routine, kind of routine. If you do that habit, if you do that from one to time. So now I just cannot add new photo to archive without being properly tagged.
But now it's automatic. Yeah. Yeah, I unfortunately never got in the automatic habit, and yeah, part of my personality. I'm guilty of that in many things, many ways. Huh? But I often think about that when I used to go through printed photos, so many memories would come back, rich detail. But today's kids have millions of photos. And I wonder if they really do serve to bring back the memory, or if the memories are more surface, less rich. I don't know.
Well, I think our memory is just like a muscle. You can train it.
Muscle.
Muscle, yeah, you can train it, and we have a lot of proofs of that, right? For instance, my older boy can redeclare, if it's a word, like make learn a long poem in one evening, because he's
Wow.
trained. He's trained for that. I do that with him like from the birth, and it's well trained memory. For instance, with me, it's not the same, and I read that technologies now change this behavior, change this muscle in people. You know, we don't how to say, we don't rely on our memory anymore. Why? We have easy access to other place.
Yeah, rely. We don't rely. Yes, I ponder this a lot. A friend just shared yesterday something. Right. Yeah, we don't need to know phone numbers anymore, although I can still remember some from decades ago that
Yeah,
I
but
used a lot. But my friend was talking about Shakespeare and a particular play, and she has volumes of Shakespeare's plays, but she didn't go to her bookshelf. She went right to Google, and we don't have the need to rely on that memory as much. Yeah, and I don't know what it's doing to us. If it's a freeing our brains up for better activity in a new direction, or if it's
of course,
something we will
I
regret.
think
I don't know.
I think it's good. We have more brain like capacidad, right? No, can I say so?
Capacity,
Capacity. Yeah, it's
capacity. Hmm.
Spanish. So, for other deals, right? We can learn something new, gender study or something. But speaking about phone numbers, it's funny that, for instance, I cannot recall any phone number, not nor my friends, nor my family. I never use them for decades. So how can I remember that? But my boy has a device. It's clock. It's clock with SIM card inside, so he can call. But he don't have address book. Don't have address book. So he just took my phone, look at all these numbers, and remembered all of them in one time. So now he can call whoever, whomever. Right?
Wow. 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 From his watch. He's got one of those watches, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
But it's a
it's
different.
fascinating, but I'm still not sure I agree with you that it's all positive. uh,
But my point was we can get it back. As I said, it's like a muscle. You can lose form, you can get form back.
yeah, time for introspection and reflection seems to be disappearing also, and you would think it would increase because we have more time that we could, but we don't allow ourselves, many of us, to stop the constant incoming guided reflection.
For self reflection and introspection, they are now guided in special meditation classes.
But I don't like
It's too important.
yeah, they don't work
It's too important
for me.
to let yourself.
Yeah, yeah, something false about that. Yeah. So I puzzle this a lot and what it's doing, and there are positives, But so much of it is exactly the mentorship and the guiding. And when it's not guided in positive directions, as you are trying with your children, some not so pleasant results seem to be coming. Decent human decency. So now there's this big push again for character training, but you can't just teach it in school. Yes, yeah.
I mean that it's a very hard skill, this ability to be guided, It's kind of hard for adults, right? For instance, when I changed my job, I lost some expertise. So before that, I was a guy who making advices. Everyone goes to me. Now I had to go to someone, and it was like humiliation, you know.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
So, but for children, it's so natural. They ask me every time. It's natural for them to help, to ask for help.
And it's when we lose that we lose so much more. Yeah.
But I got it back. I just how to say adapted it in my mind. So I just adjusted that. So I'm not that guy anymore. I have to go and ask. So
Yeah. The one thing that I learned that I struggle to retrain myself, but as a child, I had a very strong, domineering mother, and I learned to lie to her, to buy time, to do right, because if I told the truth, I would get smacked or physically punished. And if I understood what I had to do, I could sort of white lie, cover up, and then make it a truth after the fact. And I still fight that tendency to say yes, that something is done, for example, and then I hang up the phone and quickly finish it to make it a truth. And it's so some of us readjust and relearn quickly, and it sounds like you are lucky to be one of those people. And some of us maybe don't adapt as easily or well.
Well, my trick is try to find something very positive, very valuable, is like that. So I just put it like how we call this device, you know, justice. I forgot what it's like. To wait. Seesaw, yeah, seesaw.
Scale, a balancing scale.
Yeah, balancing scale. So I put on my play on one cup. It's what else? My self-esteem, my proud, maybe false proud or something else. And what on the other cup? On the other cup, it's knowledge and more money and more opportunity and all these things. And I don't have to pay for that when I go to advice in my company to other guy. So you know, it was pretty imbalanced. So I just throw away this proud. That's all.
Yeah. One of my brothers you remind me a lot of him. He's also very adept at this type of focus and discipline. But the rest of us lost it somehow in my family. It's interesting how the dynamics of the workplace with the current situation of experience and wisdom, hands-on versus technology and different style. It's fascinating to me to see how the dynamics play out in different workplaces, and where it's going, I don't know. I think we, as a society in the US, I think people need, and it's my saying so, right? Who am I to say so? But my perception is that people need to find time to put away the devices and just pay attention to something that interests them, that deep experiencing of things, immersion, is missing out of so many people's lives. It's all surface and temporary, fast paced, and that deep passion for something is, they go shopping, and beautiful, beautiful days here, and all the parks and trails are empty, and the parking lots at shopping malls are all full. That to me is just the sign of a sick society. I will never think that is right. Vasant, yeah.
Yes, expert told that after using smartphones or any such electronic devices for a certain period, people became a psychologically, how do we call it? They are affected by psychological disorder. Like they would constantly look at their mobile phone, even if it's not ringing, they will hallucinate that it is ringing. Okay,
Yeah.
what is happening with my mobile phone? So they look at it. They said that they will face such a disorders if they are obsessed with such electronic devices. Yeah, it happens.
Sorry, I cannot support you. I'm from other side. I hear the speeches like science ancient Greeks, you know. It's always people against new things because they spoil everything. But before smartphones, we have newspapers. Before newspapers, we have, you know, stone papers or something. So there are always many things to distract you, and I don't think the current things worse than previous.
So you
Yeah,
believe that there is an adaptation, a positive adaptation in progress. I hope so. I hope you're right.
It's like, you know, it's like every generation always not happy about younger generation.
Yeah, truth.
Flaws in them, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we always say that they're stupid, they're millennials, they can't concentrate, they just how we can die now, what will happen with the yours, right? But it's never happened. It's science ancient Greeks is the same.
I have to admit, when I look back on the 60s and 70s from my age and experience now, we were pretty weird.
But then you mellow, right? Then you grow up, you mellow, you set up. I don't know what. So the same will happen.
Hey guys, I'm just putting a note here, but I'm really feeling a little weird, so I'm gonna have to end our call. Fun discussion. Thanks.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye bye.